Briterion Sports is back. I'm your host, Kevin, and I have a special guest with me today. My colleague by the name of Scott. How you doing, Scott?
Hey, Kevin. Doing good here. Ready
Thanks
for the weekend.
Yeah, aren't we all? Thanks for joining me today.
Sure, happy to.
I've been trying to lock this show down with you for a little bit, and we were finally able to make it happen. So thanks for joining me.
Again, yeah, happy to help.
Yeah, and so we work together in our day job, and I guess I met you last school year.
Yeah. Last fall.
Yeah, last fall. I was thrown into a classroom.
Sorry about the intruder.
That's okay. I have my own. I have 3 intruders of my own. 3 cats of my own. I was literally thrown into a classroom. They were like, "Here you go."
And you were, yes.
And it was
and
a
we
little
had to
bit.
start figuring things out quickly.
Yeah. And you were my assistant in the class, and you did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for all your support last year and all the time in our day job. You definitely made it funner last year, even though some of the classes were pretty hard. Middle school is a tough time for kids.
Yeah.
So,
You got to look at the bright side of things and have a little fun with what you're doing, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's how we know each other. And, after, just talking to you in our downtime last year and this year, I'm like, wow, this guy's led a real interesting life, to say the least.
Yeah. I've been here or there a few times.
Yeah. You've been around the block.
Yeah. Not always planned, but here and there. And it's always made the best of it. And I think that's what's allowed me to have so many experiences.
Yeah. No, that's great. I was just like, wow, this guy's like Forrest Gump or something. Like,
I get that a lot at work. Presently, the person I'm working with now, because she's a younger person, right? And she's like, "You were there, you did that, you did this." It's like you kind of live a life, and there's a lot of things in it.
Yeah, no, I think you've lived a pretty cool life from what I've heard. And so one of the things that you told me about was you used to watch a lot of NBA live.
Yes.
Back in the day, right?
Yes. Used to love to watch the NBA. Do you want to talk about the Bulls back in the 90s?
Yeah, I would love to. Before we get into that, so this is like perfect timing because it's the NBA playoffs right now.
Yes, it is getting exciting.
Are you watching it?
I have watched bits and pieces on and off. We have such a schedule with so many other things going on right now. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. I watched a couple of the games last weekend, so I was able to catch up real quick and see some of the playoff action.
Yeah. So Celtics just lost Game 3 to the Magic. So that series is 2-1. Are you rooting for any teams in particular this year?
I'd like to see the Celtics come back. It's been a while.
Well, they won last year.
I think they paid their dues for the last quite a long period of time now. I mean, you can only say you're rebuilding so long.
Well, I mean, they did win last year, but you want them to go back to back, or?
Yeah, I think they need some time. I mean, they've been doing a lot better. I would just like to see them try to get back some of their old glory. I mean, back in my day, they were like the team to beat.
Yeah, them and the Lakers,
they were,
for sure.
Bird was on it and everything else, and they were like the team that everyone's tried struggling with, and they had their days, and it seems like it's been a while since they've had repeat or anything like that they were used to back. So it'd be nice to see them have a little bit of a success.
Right. More, I mean, they could be kicking it old school this year. You never know. You could see a Lakers Celtics finals.
Yeah, and that's what I'm afraid of. I mean, the Lakers are good. I like the Lakers. They've got some good things going for them, but it
Yeah,
just seems that I think it's the East Coast time.
yeah.
I
Need to
think it's
bring it back
time for it
east.
to drag it back across the coast. I think it's time that we keep it there. It needs to stay there a bit longer. I think it's time.
Right. I mean, you could be right. I mean, if not Boston, maybe New York Knicks can pull it out. I mean, it's been
That
a
would be
while.
even more amazing. I mean, right now with everything going on in New York, I think they could really use that win there. It'd bring a
Right.
lot of joy to that town.
Yeah, I'm kind of pulling for them. Um, yeah, but yeah, it's some interesting,
Yeah.
exciting playoffs. I,
For
I'm,
me, I guess for me, I don't think about it until it gets down to the final two.
yeah, no,
And then after the first game, you can kind of size it up, right? Because you're like, okay, let's see what they do together.
yeah. I mean, I see what you mean. Like when I see the regular season, I'm like, okay, I won't pay attention until it's playoffs, and then now the playoffs have started. It's like, okay, I won't pay attention until the finals.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It used to be like when I was a kid in basketball, it was like each team might have had a player,
yeah,
and, and and they had to really pull the rest of the team together to play. And nowadays, it's like these teams all have these superstars.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
and then they have the bench.
right,
So it's like I like to see how the teams play first before I get really excited because there are so many strong players on every team anymore. I mean, it
yeah,
used to be when you found a Bird or Jordan, it was a wow, this is rare. Look at it go. And now
yeah,
it's we've got so many of these things now. We got Stephen, we got LeBron, we've got the numbers just keep
yeah.
going down and down.
Yeah, they're all like all the main teams are like super teams now.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So it's kind of like you got to see them play a bit before you can get excited. See where they
right.
go.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it should be interesting as the playoffs go on or drag on. I've been a big Warrior fan, since their dynasty started. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're
I've my team used to be Raptors for a long time after the Bulls, but
right.
now they're kind of where are
Yeah,
they today?
yeah. They didn't make the playoffs. I don't think.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of rebuilding.
Yeah, a lot of rebuilding. Yeah, yeah, you're part of the growing Celtics contingency at work. Like,
Yeah,
all
I just think it's time. I mean, it's been a while since that franchise has had a lot going on, and it'd be nice to see them have some time in the spotlight for a few years.
right. I see what
Interesting.
you mean. Yeah. So that's the state of basketball now. But tying to you the last year and this year, I heard you had a lot of cool stories from back in the days.
Yeah.
So you ended up having Chicago Bulls season tickets when Jordan played.
All right. So for Chicago, we had tickets for the games. We were watching. It was season. It was their. It was '93. So
Okay,
that was their fourth
third.
set of going on, or third set of rings, I believe.
It was the third of the first three.
Yeah, it was the year that, if you remember this, Jordan retired. Then Jordan didn't.
Oh, okay.
He played baseball for like a week.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you must mean that it was 95, 96. I think.
No, I thought it was '93 when he left for retirement.
Um,
I thought
he
he did a sem. I thought he retired in
93.
'90.
They after they won the finals 93. Then he retired, played
Right.
baseball, and then he came back 95.
Okay. Because '93 was when we were at the stadium
Okay.
for the playoffs.
Okay.
That was the year that we were there for the
Okay.
game. They were playing Phoenix.
Yeah, they play them in
Yeah,
the
they were
final.
playing
Yeah,
Phoenix back.
Charles
Charles
Barkley.
Barkley.
Yeah,
He was like a larger than life at the
yeah,
time. I mean, he was really playing.
yeah. I love Charles Barkley.
Yeah, I mean, he was. I think that's kind of the first time I really got to see him was when we were at the games because it was like watching him play. I was like, wow. I mean, he was better than I gave him credit for. I guess watching the games.
Right.
Now to go back to all this, we're talking the '90s, so we're talking cable TV. We're not talking what we have today, where you can watch any game anytime.
Yeah. streaming
and you get
right.
all this information. I mean, back in that time, I mean, you had to watch the game, and you had to watch it live, and you had just maybe a couple of cable stations you could catch it on. So it was interesting to see that, and of course, I'm trying to remember. It seems like in that game, I remember the game before Michael Jordan had done like the 40 some points, and that was like the all time high that he was going to get. And then
Uh,
this game, it was like 50 or more points that I believe he scored in that game. It was just an insane amount of Michael
right,
Jordan making the basket. It was
right,
just constant Jordan and Pippen and a
right.
little BG Armstrong in the middle there. And then who else was on the team back then? Oh, the coach right here
Yeah.
now.
Phil Jackson.
No. Phil Jackson was their coach, but the coach here for LA now, which is Stephen Kerr.
Oh, Steve Kerr he's on the
Yeah, because
Warriors.
he was
He's the
playing
coach
for
of the
them.
Warriors.
He was just a young guy then.
Yeah.
He was
So
playing for them. He and BJ would play or would
yeah, they
break each
come off
other
the
out
bench
on
or
and off
whatever.
in the game. So it was very. Have you ever been in the stadium in a game?
No,
Have
I
you ever
have.
seen a
I've
game?
never
I mean, a
seen
basketball
live
game live?
NBA at all.
It's it's something different because like the vibe is totally different than I know how you get excited watching the game on TV and they're running it back and forth and that flow, but live you're further away for one, but you can feel the beat better. It's like
Yeah, it's like
the
a
everything,
concert.
the vibe, the energy, all that is just so much stronger when you're there at the game. The
Yeah,
chanting, everything that goes on and off camera. It's just amazing to be a part of all that excitement. I mean, it really builds you up, and it's just it's the volume. I mean, when you
right.
sit and listen to it on TV, you hear the in the background, but it's nothing compared to being there. I mean, you can't even sometimes hear announcements being made. It's so loud in the stadium,
So
which
yeah,
just adds to the whole excitement of the game.
yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure it's almost like being at a concert compared to listening to the album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like that same kind of a vibe.
Yeah,
Um, and it's a constant. You have to pay attention because you'll miss things. And again, back in those days, when you miss things, you didn't have one of these
yeah, exactly.
to take a picture or a video or record it, or you had to kind of see it all, or else you kind of didn't get to see it all. I mean, it
Right.
was kind of fun to watch the games back then. I mean, um,
Because it's
yeah,
like you were just
they
living
were
in the
quite
moment,
exciting.
right?
I want to say it was June-ish, sometime in June the game because it was quite
Yeah,
warm in Chicago.
yeah.
It was
No,
it was it was
that's
June somewhere in there. It was
yeah.
nice
That's
and
when the
warm.
finals come around. So yeah, it would have
Yeah,
been
it
like
was.
first week of June.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, and sorry to correct your memory. So that white guy you saw must have been John Paxson, actually, not Steve Kerr, because Steve Kerr didn't come later.
oh, he was back. He was later in the
Yeah,
'90s.
yeah, he was later.
Okay.
So he was like 96. So I think John
Well,
Paxson you're thinking
it
of.
was a while ago.
Yeah,
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 maybe it
exactly.
was. Maybe it was Paxton. Maybe it was
Right.
Paxton. Maybe it was Paxton. Like I said, it was a long, but it was a lot of fun to go to these games. And it's funny too, because when I talk to people sometimes about different sporting events and things back 20, 30 years ago,
Mm.
they're always like, oh, did you take pictures? Did you get any video of it? I'm like, that wouldn't even have been possible. Can you just imagine how big a video thing would be to take a video of
Yeah,
the game? Or the lens you'd have to have on it to get a picture? I'm like, no, you
yeah,
just had to remember it the best you could. A lot of excitement going on, but you kind of tried to remember everything that was going on. You actually had to watch the game to see what was happening
yeah,
and what was going on. I mean, nowadays it's just different. Of course, I haven't been to a game in quite a while now. Uh, I wish we had something here in San Diego.
yeah.
I
Just
mean,
have
that would have been nice.
just have
We,
a G League team. I think.
yeah, yeah. That might
That's
even
not
be
the
a
same
fun
thing.
thing to do.
No,
Pardon?
that's not the same thing. You couldn't pay me to watch G League, honestly. um,
I don't know. Sometimes the littler games can be kind of fun. Have
yeah.
you ever seen like college or anything like that games?
Yeah, yeah, no, those games can be exciting, and I think in the college sense, because there is such a community that
It,
rallies around
it's
it.
got the same like
Yeah,
energy to it as the championship games, and
right.
I think it's a little more sincere or hardworking in the college because they're not making the
Yes,
and they're actually trying to
right.
put their best foot forward constantly. They're not out
Like,
there just going, yeah, I can make this.
yeah, it's kind of more about pride in the college, not so much about
Yeah,
money and
yeah, yeah,
fame and
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, the game was really kind of exciting. I'm trying to remember more and more about it as we're talking about it because gosh, it was so long ago. My seats weren't great. They were okay. We weren't like behind the Bulls or anything where we touched them.
right,
No, those seats would have been ridiculously amounts of money. I don't even know what they would have been back then. But
right,
yeah, we were close. We could see everything. The other thing that I can tell you that's interesting, looking back on it versus today, was like the freedom you had because you could walk around and see and be around. Like even at halftime, you could come down, you could get close. They weren't there because they're back in, but you could get
right.
see everything. You could get around. You can't do that today, I don't think.
Yeah,
There's just way too much protocol security to be
yeah,
honest, and that kind of takes away from it.
right.
I remember trying to get um, Bulls jerseys that night after the game and
Like
the
trying to
line
buy
was
some.
just like incredibly long. So we were like, oh, I don't know. It was like incredibly long. And we were like, I don't know. And then I heard kind of remember someone saying something about there were only certain sizes left. And I was like, and I know we walked away from that and we were heading downtown after the game to go see a few more things and see what was going on, trying to see where the latest hot spots were, trying to find something going on with the Bulls, and it was hard to do. There were a lot of people out in the street right after that game. It seems like every time there was a win, there were people that fled out into the street. Not like today, but they'd go out in the street and celebrate a bit. It was just different back then. I think because everything was not as made a production or as big. Basketball, I don't think was as popular back in the 90s, 80s as it is today. I think it was up and coming then, because I'm not sure. Did they have the league expansions back then? No, the league expansions didn't start till about 2000, right?
Well, they had a few expansion teams at that time. I think the two Florida teams were expansion teams, so Miami and
Okay, so they had
Orlando.
started expanding. Okay,
Yeah, but then a little bit later. Oh, I mean, yeah, I think in the mid '90s. Yeah,
that's when they started doing
you got
the
Toronto and the
Charlotte.
Grizzlies.
Yeah, that's when
Yeah,
everybody else started coming in. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
um, yeah. Because I kind of remember, yeah, right around 2000, the Torontos. We used to go to the Toronto Raptors games in
right,
Toronto,
right.
and
Yeah,
there'd
let
be
me.
very few people.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Um, well,
Very few people.
let me ask you for a sec. So, were you guys living in Chicago at that time?
What had happened was no, we were living outside of Chicago at that time. Um, we had lived in Chicago back in those days. We were moving quite a bit between different jobs and whatnot, so we were in and out of, but close to the area. I think actually for the last bit of that early part of that summer, we were just in Indiana, just outside of Illinois. Um, because we had been in Chicago and then out, and then we went back to Chicago. And when we went back the second time, we weren't going to games because we weren't living in the downtown. We were living on the outside of the loop, so we were kind of far for everything, and we just getting involved with it because it was just a short assignment there. Do I need to preference all that moving for you guys? My
No.
partner does a lot work for a hospital. So we moved around a lot.
Right.
We've always been moving around a lot. So
Right.
yeah, it takes it's a lot of move back here, move there. That's how I was able to go to the games in Toronto as well because
Right.
we were up there for an extended period of time.
Right. So the the main year you saw the Bulls was '93. Then, right?
93 was the biggest year. Then we saw some in the earlier 90s. Let's see, Jordan graduated high school. When was that? In the 80s?
Yeah.
It was
Well,
Chapel Hill?
he was drafted '84
For,
from North
yeah.
Carolina.
So North Carolina, then, yeah, I want to say it was the 90s stretch that we were in the area, and that's when we were going to games. But I remember that we went to most every game back in 93. Um, we got lucky with tickets.
Right. Yeah. So,
And again, tickets were like they are today. They
yeah.
weren't
Didn't cost an
using
arm and
thousands and
a leg.
thousands and thousands of dollars to go to a game. It didn't seem. I mean, it seemed expensive, but it didn't seem that. And I couldn't tell you what the tickets were now because that just loots. I just can't remember that long ago what they were. I know I'd saved the stub for a couple of years because I thought it was cool, and
Yeah.
then in one of the moves, it all got with
Right.
everything. I even had a book, Michael Jordan's book, and it kind of got lost somewhere in
Oh,
all this. Yeah,
all
I
the
haven't
moving.
seen it in maybe 15 years. It's kind of like, I don't know. That's another unfortunate side effect of moving a lot.
Right. Well,
Things get
okay.
broken.
Sorry to hear that.
Eh,
But anyone who knows, like anyone who's listened to some of my podcasts, knows that I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan. To me, he's like the greatest athlete of all time.
I agree.
Not only is he the greatest basketball player of all time, I think he's like the greatest athlete of all time, at least from what I've seen of him. I grew up with him. I was watching those finals as a kid on TV. So when you saw him in particular in person, was there something different about him? Was there something special about him that you could see live?
Yes. When when it's live, you see him on TV and he looks a certain way, but when he just looked bigger when he's live. I mean, not like 10 feet tall or anything like that, but like when you see him and you see the muscles, you see everything, and you just realize how strong he is. And like when he flicks the ball, I mean, his style, the way he when he
Yeah,
throws, you can you can see the strength like in his arms, and you don't get to
right.
see all that on TV. I mean,
Yeah,
now I guess with the HD, you see more of the build of the athletes now, but back then it was kind of. I mean, it was like, wow, he works out.
yeah,
I was like, wow, look at. And the other thing I couldn't get over was how big his shoes were. Because like when you see them, it's like, oh, these guys have really big shoes. I mean, yeah, they got big shoes, but when you see them in person, they look
yeah.
way bigger because they're walking by and you're like, wow, that's a big shoe.
They just have Krusty the
Yeah,
Clown shoes
just
all over the
seeing it
place.
all like in front of your face, it's just like, wow, look how big these people are, and you can put height into perspective, how high everybody is compared to everybody. Where I just never could see that much on TV all the time, but you see it when you're there because it's like there,
Yeah,
you see it.
yeah,
It's all in dimension for you, so you can see it all, and it's pretty. It always takes me back every time you see like if you get the chance, go see a live game just for the reason of the comparison of live to TV. It's just like, wow, look at these, and you
right.
can feel you can hear them, like especially when everybody's quiet for a minute, and you
Yeah,
hear the or
yeah,
whatever noise that they make when they shoot, because they all have a noise that they make when they're whatever
yeah.
it is they're doing.
They're
You can hear
grunting
it,
or
and it's like,
whatever.
whoa, I didn't know he did that. You just and you can hear the chatter. That's another thing that surprises you. The language and the chatter.
Yeah, the the trash talking, huh?
Sure.
Yeah, I always find it funny when sometimes you hear when you're watching it on TV, you hear the occasional like "fuck," like
Yeah. Yeah. When you're live, it's like some of the guys. I will say, I noticed Michael didn't do a lot of it. I,
uh-huh.
if you bumped him or accused him of a foul or something, yeah. He started with the blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what his words were, but he would say things, and you could tell by the reaction that whoever didn't like what he was saying. But yeah, the amount of trash talk. Some players, it's just constant.
Yeah.
Like it would bother me to be having someone in my ear like that all the time. But I guess that's part of playing basketball.
Right.
You got to take it. But yeah, those are some of the things that I don't think you realize from TV to live the difference. Um,
Was there any? Sorry. Was there anything like? Did you notice anything extra poetic about Jordan when he moved or?
I still think to today that Michael Jordan is probably one of the most graceful basketball players I have ever seen. I mean, some of the shots when he would go up for a layup and you could see the rim and his hand just and the ball rolls off of it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was like somehow he planned that. I mean, because you'd think, God, why didn't he break his finger up there? Because it's just there.
Right.
And some of the moves to get around people, it just looked like, wow, look at him go. You
Yeah,
could
like
just
his
see it in slow
dribbling.
mo. It
Yeah.
was like that guy didn't even stand a chance. And
Right.
it was like, it was just that he was to me one of the players that was special with the way that he could move the ball, shoot the ball, and he could orchestrate that team and get them in positions. And it just seemed like it was so great when they were all firing. Now they had some bad days, but when they were all firing, it just looked gazelle graceful.
Right.
Just just the way that they could play those balls, and then you'd always get, which was always neat. Like I noticed it. I'm almost certain that he went over 50 points that game because I kind of remember him like at one of the shots, he kind of like smiled, like, "Yeah, I did that." You know what I mean? That little
Right.
Michael Jordan smile he had. It was like, "Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's me. I did that."
Let
And
me.
I'm pretty
Well,
sure
he.
he
So game 2 he had 42.
game four. I'm thinking of.
Game 3 he had 44. Game 4, oh, he had 55. Game 4.
Yeah, I kind of remember him like smiling, like, "Yeah, I got this."
He smirked.
Yeah, he was like hitting it every time. He knew he could. I don't know if you paid attention every when you were young watching the games, but you could every now and then see him shoot the ball, and he like look away like, I know that's gonna go. I didn't have to follow it, but I know
Yeah.
it's going.
Yeah, for sure. I
It's
mean,
done.
especially when they would do the slow mo replays on NBA on NBC. Like he would shoot it and like backpedal, and he's like
Yeah,
smiling.
yeah,
He's like backpedaling. You
yeah.
know.
Yeah, I mean, he knew every time. I mean, it's like, yeah, that used to. I mean, he was, and you get that look out of the corner of his eye, like, yeah, I know what I did. But he never. I mean, like some of the players get really cocky with that,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
he's never done that on the court that I can remember. I
yeah.
mean, I know he's fought a few times with some refs, but I never remember him getting overly cocky with players or with other team members or anything to start any kind of fighting or anything on the court. He always seemed to always keep his composure, even when
Yeah.
he did miss.
Right. Yeah. No, that's actually something that I've always loved about him. Honestly, is the fact that he never like yeah, like he never like was too much about things. Like he it like later on it got like yeah even more like trash talky like overtly. You know what I'm saying? He was like more subtle. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah.
saying? And
And again, I think that's part of his grace that he brought to the sport
right, yeah,
that I still don't see being matched today.
no, I don't either. And he just even though he won all these, it wasn't like he was braggadocious about it. It was like, he was just like, it comes with the territory, like I win. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? And I don't need to like overly stress the point.
Yeah,
Because if he was, he would be more like, he would be emphasizing it, even nowadays. Like there's always a thing between him and LeBron, like the GOAT comparisons or whatever. So like,
Right. But LeBron, I think, kind of does get a little
yeah,
talkative.
no, I agree. That's what I'm saying. That's partly what I don't like about him. you
Yeah.
know?
And I'm just wondering if that's because today there's so much social media out there that they feel they have to. Where
Yeah, I mean,
back, well, like when Jordan played, the game was over. You might see him on a newscast the next day
mm-hmm.
or the day after, but that
Right,
was it. There wasn't
right,
a
yeah,
lot of, run out and jump on Twitter or TikTok or whatever you're doing, and you know.
yeah. No,
And
I
I,
mean,
and I, and
obviously
I
that.
think that maybe gave him that grace because we
Right,
didn't need to know everything was in his head. He just kind of like, I did my job. I'm gone.
yeah,
I think that was one of my favorite things when he'd do that. We always
yeah.
had that. Oh
He did
yeah,
that the
I
year
did it.
before against the
Yeah,
Blazers. Yeah,
yeah.
he
And
hit
I
like
think that was
nine
part of
threes or whatever, right?
yeah, that was part
And
of
then
his
he was just
grace.
like,
One of the other things I remember too is that back then you used to be able to get early to the games, and if you got early to the games, you could see the cars come in. And you could
right,
see them come in their Corvettes and their everything. And that used to always be, I don't even think you could do that today. They'd be scared to death.
yeah. I
But
mean,
you
I
used
think
to be able to see that. You know what I mean?
right.
And then there was the whole wind up when the game starts. Dun, 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 the music, the lights go out. Ooh. And it's just an amazing thing to be in the stadium to see
Oh, I'm
because
sure.
it is dark when they turn the
Right.
lights off and they start the whole rigmarole and get everybody going and have a good time to start the game. And you just, yeah, I mean, it was just something to be at a game. I mean, from the very beginning to the end, to where you could be early enough to get a glimpse of them going in. If you wanted to sit in your chair for an hour or so and wait for the game to start, or 3 or 4 hours, or I can't remember how early they got there. It seems like they didn't get there as early as they do now. It seems like they get there really early now for games.
Right.
They always warmed up on the court, so you could see them doing their.
Yeah.
But again, that's another thing. I just remembered that thought. The warm up with Jordan and them. He never did that much.
Right.
I mean, like today, you see them out there huffing it and doing all these trick shots, and it was like he did a few, and he's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit and rest and relax. And it's like now today, it's like a whole production with them like playing this little mini game, and everyone's got to get to the corner and shoot, 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 shoot. And it just
Right.
seems like yeah, he come out and maybe it's because who he was and he knew that he would pull the audience, but he'd just do a few shots. He's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
It was kind of it. It wasn't like this big production today. It just seemed a lot more graceful because when you get to see them, you're like, wow, there they are. And
Right.
all your idols right there on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Before we move on, I wanted to ask you a little bit. Like, did you notice anything special about Scottie Pippen when you saw him?
I was just going to mention him.
Okay.
I mean, that was George's right hand. I mean, they
Right.
were like thick as thieves back in the day.
Right.
I mean, now Scott looks thin. Excuse me. I don't know if you
He was more
ever
svelte.
paid much attention to that on TV when you watch him, but he looks thin in person. He
Right.
looks thin. He's more lean,
Yeah.
not as muscular chiseled as Jordan. He's just more. Um, and he has a when they're playing, it's a different. They have a different style. I mean, you can see it
Mm-hmm.
where Jordan is much more graceful and much more reserved and deliberate with what he does. Scotty was always like quick and stop and go and this and back and over. And it was just different to see them play. I
Right.
mean, how they would react with each other. Um, and, uh, and feed off of each other because, like I said, it was always Jordan. And the thing that used to always surprise me too is like I don't know if it's how they played or the way they were playing, but I'd noticed like there'd be times when like Jordan would toss Scotty the ball and want him to take the shot, and all of a sudden it's coming back to Jordan because it was like Pippen maybe didn't want to make that shot because it was too close to he'd rather see Jordan make it. I don't know, but it seemed weird sometimes because you'd be like, why did they do that? He had a clear shot. Why did he
Mm.
throw it back? And it used to always, or was it because Scotty always felt that he was the number two in that group? It just always, did you ever notice that on TV? Where you'd think that, oh, why didn't he take that shot? All of a sudden he tosses it back.
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably looked at it like, hey, like, you're the main man. You make the shot. You know what I'm saying? Like if I had an open look, sure, I'll see what I can do. But I think, or in a way, it was like, just to
Because he
get
used to
some.
rack some points, Pippen.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
used to
No,
get
he
some
was he
points.
was a great player. I mean, maybe it was just for Jordan to get some separation because, they're guarding him. He kicks it to Pippen, and then
Yeah,
Pippen, can kick it back to get some separation.
yeah.
Um,
And I think another one on that team that people didn't really give a lot of credit to is B.
he was really good. He was really good with the
For
threes.
his size, he was really good.
Yeah.
Because he was not that tallest tree out there shooting the ball.
No. I loved him when I would see him play.
Yeah, I mean he was quick. He was
Right.
always really quick to move and to get somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I just always thought it was interesting how, like, when you'd watch the game, everybody expected it, and it seemed to always happen that way. That Michael Jordan always got the shot.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, it used to sometimes like, why didn't he take it? Why didn't they do that? But it always seemed to be that, for whatever reasons, if it was camaraderie or whatever they do there, or because it was Michael Jordan, I don't know. But they just always seemed to make sure that he got the ball somehow. And of
Right.
course, that always worked, but except for when it didn't. I can think of a few games where Jordan kind of stunk it up. I'm trying to think of one game somewhere back in those days where I remember it was like going in to halftime and Jordan had tried and tried and tried, hadn't made anything yet. I don't know if you ever remember any of those days, but I kind of remember a couple of those where I was like, wow, what happened here? I mean, Jordan just couldn't get it together for some reason.
Right.
I mean, he'd always come out second half and pile up the numbers, but it always seemed like that was the way they did it. What did they used to call it? They had a name for their defense. What did they call that?
For the Bulls defense.
Yeah, they had a name for their defense. I kind of remember hearing it splashed around. I can't remember. It's been so long now.
Yeah, I don't recall that.
Kind of
I guess I
recall
can.
something that they used to always call it something. The Bulls and their blah
Oh,
blah blah.
I think you mean their offense. The
Maybe
triangle
it was their
offense,
offense,
right? Triangle offense.
maybe yeah, because they had something that they felt worked for them, and they used to always play to that. It seemed like Jordan was always on point as far as the triangle. The one shooting, I should say, before
Yeah,
I
that
get
that
everybody
was
confused with crossing over.
yeah, because that was Phil Jackson's whole philosophy. He really stressed the triangle offense.
Yeah,
So
and he used to always stress passing too.
yeah, that was the whole thing. It was like they would be in a triangle and they would like pass it between the three guys. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, if you look at Game 6 of that series, I mean, Jordan, that was like the lowest points he had in the whole series. He only scored like 33.
Yeah,
Um, and I
they
guess,
probably second half points too.
yeah, and that's when he got that final shot from John Paxson. So John Paxson hit the
Yeah,
game-winning
Paxton. Yeah,
shot
yeah, yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah,
end
yeah,
of
yeah.
that.
Now that you keep saying his name, maybe that's who it was back. It was Paxton back. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, John Paxson was great too. He was,
yeah, yeah. I kind of. He was always the forgotten guy.
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, um, he probably could have got more playtime than he did, but yeah, it was. I think back in those days, I think everybody came for just two players.
Jordan and Pippen.
Yeah, I think so. I kind of remember the posters back in those days everywhere were the two of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
that
yeah,
was like the team.
you wanted to
33
see
and
the
23. That was the
marquee
team. That was the team. That was the team.
players, yeah. Even though the Suns had a really good team too, they had Kevin
Barkley.
Johnson, Dan Marley, Danny Ainge, who was on your precious Celtics, Cedric
Yeah,
Ceballos. They had a pretty good team, honestly. But it's funny. Barkley, like I said, I really like Charles Barkley. I think he has great takes. He's always had great takes on the game and society in general.
yeah, yeah. I always thought he was a good guy, but the one thing I noticed, he's a talker when he would play. He likes to
uh,
talk.
yeah. That's what they would call him, the like great mound of rebound or something like that was like his
Yeah, he
nickname.
liked
Like
to talk because I can remember a few times when even like Jordan would be like, "What? What did he just say?" You
yeah,
knew that they were talking. You knew
right,
because it'd be like
yeah,
you would see that, and I think that's kind of what hurt Charles. I think a little bit from getting that big fame because he was a good player. I mean, he always put
yeah,
numbers up. I bet you
yeah.
in that game he probably put up what 40.
Yeah, I think that game five. Well, the Suns actually won game five, and
That five, yeah,
he
5 and 6, right?
no Bulls won game six.
Game 6.
Yeah, um, there was one game, maybe it was game two, where Barkley really killed it. He no, game three. Yeah, Barkley. I don't know, but I don't know how many points he had. There was one game, I guess it was game three, where he really did a good job.
They did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Barkley could put up points. It's just that he had to work harder, I think, and it showed. I mean, that's one thing I kind of always remember is he worked harder.
Hmm.
He had to. It just seemed like he worked harder. Maybe it's because he didn't have the finesse that Michael had, but it
Right.
always just seemed like he was work. And I remember that you always saw his mouth going. I mean, it was just like what? Because I used to always think about when we used to start going to games here and there and that. I mean, what can they be saying to each other all the time? I
Yeah.
mean, how much smack can you talk to each other?
Apparently a
But some
lot.
of them, I just constantly, I guess they think of it as some sort of warfare. They'll wear you down. They
Right.
figure
Yeah.
that something's going to eventually get to you. Something's going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's just used to always, and that's it, again, going back to Michael. Another thing that I don't remember him doing a lot of that.
Right.
I just don't. I mean, yeah, I think he talked a bit, but I mean, I used to pay a lot of attention when he had the ball, and I just don't remember him getting into that. Now, I do remember him every now and then saying things like, "This is going in there," and it
Mm.
literally went in there. But I mean, I don't remember him doing the whatever that's
Yeah.
your mama this or whatever they'd say to make each other
Yeah.
mad. Talk that
Yeah.
they would do. I just don't remember him being big on that. And I don't
Right.
remember the press saying that either. Do you
Yeah.
remember any?
No, I mean, yeah, I would never
I
really
remember
hear that.
Barkley got
Only
in
only
trouble for
after
it.
the fact did I hear, oh, Jordan would talk so much trash here, and from after he retired, that's like when I would hear it. And I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. I've heard some speculations too that he was hard on the team members and stuff like that.
yeah,
I mean, he was, and that kind of makes me wonder. I mean, I'm just wondering if that was the times they played in.
yeah, I think I think so.
Because
I mean,
everything by their standard and today's standard are just two different standards.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean nowadays, everyone needs a safe space and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
you know,
Talk
that
trash, but not
was
too much on sports.
yeah, like that wasn't how it was back then. It was like,
No, and I don't think they find as much as they do now.
no,
I
probably not.
mean, guys get fined for just about everything nowadays.
Yeah,
I mean, you can make a comment about politics and get a fine now in basketball or
yeah,
whatever, or football or whatever the sport is. And I just don't remember all that politics being in the game. It was play the game hard, leave it at the game, leave it there on the court, and go home.
right.
And I
Yeah,
think Jordan just pushed his team to be the best he could get them to be. And I think maybe by today's standard, when you read these books, people just don't care for that.
right.
And then
it's
back then, it made interesting basketball.
yeah. Like he was harsh by like today's standards. I don't think by
I
the standards
think.
then. Yeah.
I think that's what they're, yeah, because I think we're judging a time based on this time and
Yeah.
our philosophies now,
Yeah.
not what they were
Which
doing back then.
yeah. Which are way different.
Yeah, big time.
Well, I was gonna say, I remember Barkley said about Jordan, which I always thought sounded kind of gay, quote unquote. like it was like he said, because he said, "Oh, why do you think Jordan was the greatest or whatever?" And he said, he's like, "I just think Jordan had the perfect body." Is what he said, and people were like, "What?" Looking at him like, "What?" Like, and then he was like, "No." He's like, "Seriously." He's like, "He had the perfect body for the NBA. He's long, he's lean, he's not too bulky, he's very durable."
That
You
kind of goes
know?
back to what I said when you see him in person, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
whoa. I mean, he was basketball.
Right. Yeah. And I think no, that's something I love that only Barkley would say that. I've never heard anyone else have that take. That it was really his body, you know what I'm saying, that made him the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if you see LeBron, he's too bulky. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason. I think his muscles kind of weigh him down, you know?
He's not as doesn't have the grace, I think, because of that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And Jordan's he was just a very durable player. You know, he got hurt maybe like his second year, and after that, he was like untouchable. Like he never got hurt.
I also have to wonder in those days how many of them, when they got hurt, showed it.
Right.
How
Uh,
many of these little injuries that today, every doctor in the world worries about for this, that, and every other reason, they just said, slough it off. We'll get it going again. I just have to wonder about that because it does seem like today's games have a lot more injuries than older games,
right. Yeah.
and we're supposed to be more refined now because we're actually working out better, we're actually dieting better, and it just seems like it should be the opposite. So it
Yeah.
makes me
Exactly.
wonder how much they might have not talked about it back then.
Yeah. Or just I
Your
don't know.
finger hurt, you just played through it.
Yeah. Or just like people's bodies were just more durable. I mean, maybe just the fact it's just like a cause and effect. You know what I'm saying? Like because we have more. Because nowadays there is like people are more conscious of injuries, like they occur. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, well,
like
maybe, yeah.
you
And
know,
maybe because, yeah, they're more conscious, yeah, and there's more money involved.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
And I mean, it's, yeah, just, and we're much more fast paced now. Things burn in and out faster. Yeah, because it just seems like back then, and this is probably going to be politically incorrect, but the players were tougher,
Yeah, no, I agree.
more durable,
Yeah,
able to go and do. And I think that's probably true of most sports back 20, 30 years ago.
yeah, exactly. I mean, baseball. Nowadays every pitcher gets Tommy John surgery. That was not. It was
Yeah,
rare back in the day. You know
right,
what I'm saying?
right,
Nowadays pitchers can't throw 9 innings. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Back then it was the norm.
And look at
Um,
the length. Like when
yeah,
you see the injuries now in basketball, they're out for
yeah,
half the season. And I
yeah,
think when Jordan was hurt, he was out for just a bit, and he
yeah.
comes back. Or they just Pippen used to get hurt a lot, and he'd be back,
Right.
constantly
Right.
back working on it. You'd see him limping, but game time, he was ready to go.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just interesting to see how the sports have changed.
For sure. It's a very different time now to then.
It's, oh yeah,
I was gonna ask you about your next NBA
oh
story.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. For a while there, um, we were going to the Raptors games. We got to see lots of Raptors games.
and you were in Toronto because
We were in Toronto,
your
living
nomadic
downtown
lifestyle.
Toronto, right there where it all happens, not far from both the basketball and the Jays, because they're kind of side by
Right.
side there.
Blue
And
Jays.
yeah, and
So,
nice
and you moved there because of your work, right?
work. Yeah, we
And
were up there working.
how were those games, those Raptor games that you?
Well, the neat, well, the fun one neat, whatever you want to call it, was when we started up there was late 90s. So they were new.
Right.
So I can tell you from my memory, I think it was 20 or $40 for a seat.
Oh, yeah.
They were like,
Right.
anyone could go to the game.
Yeah.
Please come to the game.
Right. Yeah.
And they were a lot of fun. Getting to see everybody back then. Whew, I'm trying to remember everybody back on the team back then. That's
I mean,
been a
probably
minute.
Vince Carter was there, right?
Carter was up there.
Tracy McGrady.
Pardon me?
Tracy McGrady, was he on the team?
No, Tracy wasn't there. I don't think. Maybe towards the end. I'm trying to think who was the star up there then, back in the 2000s.
Let's see.
I'm trying to think now. That's getting back there. Because they were all new.
Oh, you mean?
Basically, Toronto was trying to get this team off the ground.
Yeah, I think probably Chris Bosh, right?
Bosh, yes.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get the team off the ground. And, well, Canada's not too conducive to basketball.
Right.
They're kind of a hockey kind of place.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're getting more known for
getting
it
hockey
now,
tickets is like...
But not back then.
Yeah, hockey tickets is like being royalty to get to the game for hockey. I mean, they're hard to get. But basketball, anyone could get to. And the neat thing that started was that Drake, the musician, started hanging around the team. Ended up becoming the mascot, as things were progressing. But he started hanging out at the games. He started going, being there. I mean, you would always see him there. And then he got put into the job of being their mascots and everything else.
Right.
And what used to be neat about that was another thing that he did to help that team was he would have what was called drink night. Mm-hmm. And he would take his black t-shirt, his t-shirts were always black, and they had his name on them, and he would lay one over every seat in the stadium.
Right.
So everybody would come in and they'd get a Drake t-shirt. And that generally meant that halftime was the Drake show.
Right. That's cool.
And he would do whatever he was going to do. Now, and again, it was starting up and everything was going. It's a nice stadium up there. It's pretty large. We used to always walk around because, again, back then it was easier to do. There was not all the securities now. Everybody's got to sit in a seat and everything else. So we used to always walk around and mingle around. And down just above the floor, first level, there was the big bar club, whatever you want to call it, down there, where everybody would go get a beer. Again, Canada. It's a beer town.
Molson
They're
Light.
big beers, they're not the little beers. And they're strong. Anyway, so we were cruising around, the friends and all of us were just kind of going around and whatnot. And we happened this time to get another drink, and we're heading down towards that main hangout there, which is generally for people that are having reserved seating on the floor and that kind of whatnot. But again, they're still trying to get people in. So security wasn't at all tight or anything. People could just kind of walk around. So we kind of walked our way up towards that bar and thought, well, we'll just get a drink. So we were heading in towards that bar, and all of a sudden it got really busy in there. And I'm sure there were a lot of people in there, a lot of A-type people hanging around and whatnot. But we were walking in, and I was talking to friends at the time, and I had my beer in my hand, and I went to make a turn to head towards the bar, and my beer hit somebody, and it kind of splashed on them. And I'm looking up, and it's Drake. I'm like, oh, what did I do? And all my friends are laughing at me like, oh, you're in trouble. I can't believe you did this. And he was actually pretty cool. I mean, he was like, sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And it wasn't like it was the whole beer just drenched all the way down. It was just a beer on him. And it was really nice about it. I apologized. He asked us something about enjoying the game or something like that. And they said, oh, let me get that. And got us a beer. And we were like, thanks, Drake. Wow. And it was pretty cool because as we were going back to our seats, I mean, that was like my big, oh, hey, met somebody. And we're going back to our seats. And all of a sudden we're like, oh, we didn't get an autograph. We should have got a napkin. We should have done something.
Yeah.
We were like, I was so nervous that I did that. Because you don't, the bar was kind of darkish. There were lights in there, but they're trying to keep it dimmer than out in the stadium. I just really wasn't paying attention to who I was and what I was doing. And I would have never thought he would be right there. And
Right.
I still don't know why he was right there. I mean, last time I remember seeing him was he was down on the floor talking to the team and whatever, because that's what he used to do. He used
Right.
to always talk to the guys while they were sitting, and I don't know what else he did. I know he did some halftime stuff. He always had the shirts when it was his night.
Well, he
Um,
is like the team. He's like
Mascot,
the
isn't he?
creative head or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. His role just keeps getting bigger. Is he still? I haven't checked on that lately. Is he still doing that for the team?
Yeah, he's still doing
He's
that.
still,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I mean he was very big into the sport, and he was. I mean, you could see him on some nights down there, like trying to get the crowd into again the seats and everything. Now, as they went further and further and started winning their ring, you couldn't get a seat to get in there, and the tickets were just an insane amount. But one of the cool things that Toronto used to do, that I think they still do it, is when the stadium packs out, they have an area there that's outside that they'll house everybody in, but you can go to. And there's beer and bars and everything. And you could watch the game on these big jumbo TVs up there. And that was always kind of neat. I mean, it's freezing cold, but it was kind of neat that you could still hang out if you couldn't get seats or
Right.
tickets to see the game and still be around everybody that wanted to be the game. Have you ever seen that on TV or anything?
Yeah.
I don't know if they
Yeah.
show that.
I mean, I think that's like a thing now with all like arenas and stadiums. Like yeah, if you can't get in, they'll have people outside. You can watch it on the jumbotron. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Because they like
Yeah, I just
showing.
thought it was really neat.
Yeah, because they like showing the crowd on TV. Like, "Ah," you know what I'm saying?
And now
And
remember, Toronto in June
yeah,
can still be very cold.
even in summer, it's cold.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's not till mid-June when it starts to get nice and warm.
Right.
So, I mean, it could snow during playoffs.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So those people are brave to hang out there. But anyhow, that was my little. I kind of met somebody famous at a Raptors game
No,
when they
that's
were
awesome.
Raptors. But yeah, it was kind of neat. I thought it was kind of neat to be a part of that team starting out in Canada,
Right.
because I had to literally, for the first few years, drag my Canadian friends to the game. They're like,
Yeah.
basketball? We're not going to hockey? No, 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 no. We're going to go to basketball. You're going to like it. You're really going to like it. And it took some convincing, because that sport took a while to take hold up there, I think. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, the stadiums were empty for a long time.
Yeah. No, you're right. And only now you're starting to see really good Canadian players now, like Shea Gilgis Alexander and Jamal Murray, like and Wiggins and stuff like that. You're seeing a lot of good Canadian
Yeah.
players now.
It's quite interesting how that's worked out for them. I mean, like I said, it took a lot of years. Because I think some of those expansion teams, didn't they kind of fold it
Yeah.
up and rename themselves?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. The Grizzlies moved from Vancouver to Memphis.
yeah,
Yeah. They only lasted there until like maybe '02 or something like that, '03 or something. They had a pack up shop. So there's only one Canadian team left. They're even thinking of maybe putting a team in Mexico City or something like that.
oh, that could be interesting.
Yeah,
That could be interesting. I
yeah,
don't know if that'll go over now in the political environment we're in.
yeah.
It'd be hard to get there.
Might be heavily tariffed.
And you may
Yeah,
not come back.
right. Might, might
You
not
went
be
to
able to
that game,
cross
you can't
back.
come back here. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it. But it
yeah,
would be nice
exactly.
to see some more expansion. I would like to see. I think this town's big enough to hold an NBA
Yeah,
team.
I think it's possible. I mean, I think when you like, they have this soccer team now. The
Yep,
Padres are getting bigger.
yep. I just
You
don't
know,
know where would they. They'd have to build something, I think.
yeah. I mean, or they could play in Viejas. I mean, that's pretty big.
Oh, okay.
Um, but I guess, well, I mean, I'm sure if the team got big enough, they would build their own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like they'd have $1 billion arena or something like that.
That would be nice. That would be nice to see something like that. That'd be nice to see that sport. come to hear, because it would be something I think that would be well received.
Yeah, I think so too. I really think so.
Because I think it's soccer and basketball in this town seem to be the most important.
Yeah,
Baseball second. That it's not the traditional NFL town anymore.
yeah, yeah. Because there is no NFL anymore. Even though they're thinking about bringing it back.
Of
Um,
course they are.
we'll see about that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm really glad you mentioned that Drake story because also people who listen should know I'm a big Drake fan. Um, he's he's suing Universal Music Group right now, and rumors are that to settle it with him, they're going to break him off $250 million to settle
Oh.
this lawsuit. So that'd be a nice coup for him.
Yeah.
But as far as just music, I love Drake, and I love his Scorpion album especially. Really like that album. For you fans at home. But yeah, thanks for joining me today, Scott. I really
Oh,
appreciate it.
no problem. Happy to
These are
be here.
great stories of yesteryear, 90s and 2000s. And it's cool having Scott because I have my other colleague from Briterion Sports, Byron. So we have a Byron Scott, like the player Byron Scott, who was on the Lakers before, who I
Nice.
really liked. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for your time, Scott. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We'll catch you on the next one. Maybe we'll get you for some Briterion films on
Perfect.
the next one. All right.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Have a great night, sir.
You too. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.